This is Leora Balinsky, and this message is a part of the Amudim Teshuva tape series. So this parak, today's parak Tet, is an absolutely fascinating parak. And just as a refresher, in the previous parak Chet, the Rambam explained that Olam Haba is the ultimate reward for tzaddikim, and explained also what Olam Haba entails along the way and what it doesn't entail. What it does entail is closeness with God and knowledge of God. What it doesn't entail are any bodily pleasures, because in Olam Haba we will not have bodies. We will just have the forms of our souls without bodies, and thus bodily pleasures will be completely irrelevant. And it's mistaken to think that in Olam Haba we will have any of those bodily rewards, any rewards that are connected to our physical state. And so the Rambam continues on the theme of Olam Haba in this parak Tet, and it only consists of two halachot, in which the Rambam further explains the difference between Olam Haba and Olam Hazeh, and then also relates to Yemot HaShiach versus Olam Haba. So in the first halacha of this parak, the Rambam proposes a question. He asks, if Olam Haba is the reward, then how do we understand the Torah's promise of this worldly rewards for mitzvah observance that are explicitly written in the Torah, as well as the punishments for lack of observance and sin? And that's a really good question, I think, of what actually is going on. How do we understand the Torah's promises that entail, as the Rambam says, sova v'ra'av v'milchama v'shalom, Malchut v'shiflut v'yeshivat ha'aretz v'galut v'atzlachat maseh v'efsado shar kol divrei habrit. All these things, such as hunger, famine, war, peace, settling the land, exile, all of these things. These are things that happen to us in this world as consequences of our actions. So if Olam Haba is our reward and not receiving Olam Haba is the punishment, chas v'shalom, for those who aren't able to merit Olam Haba, then what are all of those rewards and punishments, those worldly rewards and punishments doing in the Torah? What are they referring to? And so the Rambam says, no, okay, those things are real too. Kol otanan dvarim emet hayu. All those things were really the case. V'yu uvizman sha'anu osim kol mitzvot Torah yagiu elinu tovot haolam hazeh kulan. They all exist, and in a time when we're all doing the mitzvot of the Torah, those things will come to us too. But the Rambam explains that v'af al pichein ein otana tovot hem sof matan scharan shel mitzvot v'lo otana rot hem sof hanekama shenokmin over al kol mitzvot. So these are rewards that will come to us, and the bad things are punishments that will also potentially come to us in this world, chas v'shalom again, but they aren't the ultimate. They aren't the sof matan scharan, sof hanekama. It isn't the ultimate reward, and it's not the ultimate punishment. The ultimate punishment is not getting Olam Haba. The ultimate reward is Olam Haba. And the point of these rewards on earth is actually in order to facilitate getting into a state where we're able to merit Olam Haba. So the Rambam explains, "V'yiftichanu b'Torah she'im naseh ota b'simcha v'tovat nefesh v'negeh b'chokhmata tamid she'asiri menu kol dvarim hamon'im otanu melasota kegon choli milchama v'rav v'kiyotze behen." So the Torah promises us that if we fulfill the Torah in simcha, and with tovat nefesh, and with goodness in our souls, and we study it always, then Hashem will take away all of the conditions that were preventing us from doing it, all of the bodily conditions that were preventing us from fulfilling it, such as sickness, choli, milchama, war, ra'av, hunger, etc. V'yashpia lanu kol tovot hamachzikot et yadenu lasot haTorah kigon sova v'shalom v'ribui kesef v'zav. And Hashem will increase for us all of the good things that make it easier for us to fulfill the Torah, such as being fed, sova, abundance, satiety, and shalom, and peace, and ribui kasaf v'zav, and more, and a great amount of an increase of silver and gold. So that we won't be spending our days toiling for things that our body needs, but rather we will able to have the availability in order to learn Torah and fulfill the mitzvot, and that way we will arrive in Olam Haba. We will be able to achieve merit Olam Haba. And so we can understand that the Rambam is saying here that the rewards that we get, that the Torah promises in this world, are a mere means in order to accomplish the greater goal of Olam Haba, okay? Right? So by doing mitzvot in this world, by adhering to the Torah in this world, Hashem will then, sort of a way of mitzvah gorer mitzvah, if a mitzvah causes another mitzvah to come into being, Hashem will create the conditions that allow you to fulfill mitzvot better and learn Torah better and connect to Hashem better, such that you will ultimately be able to merit the ultimate reward of Olam Haba. So mitzvah observance and commitment to Torah will lead to a life that facilitates more mitzvah observance and more commitment to Torah, which then paves the way for Olam Haba. And just as a bit of an aside, I think that there's something about this year that you guys have that I'm so still jealous of, honestly, that you're able to kind of have a taste of what that feels like, of what this worldly punishments opposite of what this worldly rewards according to the Rambam feel like, which is that you're able to, for the most part, sit and learn Torah this year, and figure out how to increase your mitzvah observance, how to increase your Torah observance and your knowledge of Torah and your study of Torah without any distractions. And that's what you're doing is literally what the Rambam describes as like the best possible conditions for life on earth. And so I just want to encourage you to not take that for granted, and really, really enjoy that. And then the second halacha, the Rambam relates this idea that he had just discussed about the mitzvah observance in this world to Yemot HaMashiach. And he says, "U'pnei zeh nitavu kol Yisrael nevi'ehem v'chachamahem limot HaMashiach kadei shenuhu mimalchuyot she'inan menichot lahem lasok b'Torah mitzvot ukehogen v'yimtzeu lahem margoa v'yirbu b'chachma kadei sheyizku l'chei olam haba." So he explains that the reason that Yisrael and our Nevi'im and our Chachamim, the reason we desire Yemot HaMashiach is so that we can be let be. We can be let be from the current governments that govern us and don't allow us to just spend all day la'asok b'Torah, dealing with Torah and the depths of Torah and with mitzvot. We are looking forward to the days of Mashiach where we will have margoa, calmness, and we will yirbu chochmah, there will be an increase in knowledge so that we can all merit Olam Haba. And the Rambam goes on to say that the Melech HaMashiach will be someone who's full of knowledge and will teach the entire people and instruct them in the ways of Hashem. And that will be what the Melech HaMashiach does. And so what we see here also is that Yemot HaMashiach they're not the end goal. That's not the end goal. We're not just trying to achieve Yemot HaMashiach. Rather, just as Rambam explained in the previous parak about rewards in this world, Yemot HaMashiach are the time when we will be able to have, B'ezras Hashem, the time in order to really avail ourselves to increasing our mitzvah observance and to la'asok b'Torah, and in order so that we can then achieve Olam Haba. So again, the Yemot Mashiach also are just a means. They are simply a means of ultimately achieving Olam Haba. And the Rambam quotes the Gemara, which appears in a couple places in the Gemara at the end of the halacha, which says, one second, here we go. Ukfar amru chachamim harishonim ein bein olam hazeh limot hamashiach ela shibud malchut bilvad. That it says in the Gemara, our chachamim harishonim, our eldest elders, our eldest sages, that there is no difference between olam hazeh and olam haba. There is no difference between olam hazeh and Yemot Mashiach, except for Shibud Malchiot. Shibud Malchiot is the subjugation of kings, meaning the subjugation of the rule of Gentile kings upon us. And so when there isn't that anymore, then we are able to create the conditions to facilitate better learning Torah and fulfilling Torah in order to be Zocha to Olam Haba ultimately. So as we enter Yom Kippur, my bracha for myself and for all of you is that we're able to have the clarity of the end goal that the Rambam describes, of ultimate closeness with God, and to not feel that we are striving to fulfill the mitzvah in order to achieve any type of reward in terms of bodily pleasures on this in this place or anything connected to the body in this world, but rather that we are doing this with the ultimate end goal of becoming close with Hashem. And as the Rambam quoted the Gemara in the previous halacha, in order to nehenem ziv hashchina, in order to just enjoy the radiance of the Shekhinah. And may we also, as we're davening, may we daven to be able to merit that closeness through the positive conditions that the Rambam describes, through peace and prosperity and health for us and for everyone. And so with all that in mind, I'm wishing all a very meaningful Yom Kippur and a Gemar Chatima Tova. And I'll be thinking of all of you as I'm in shul, and I will and I will also be personally thinking about how I can try to carve out more time in my life that is really purely dedicated to thinking about and developing practices of increasing my own mitzvah observance and my own commitment to Torah in order to replicate the conditions that that the Rambam describes here. And so may this year again be one of health and prosperity and peace, and also one of self-improvement and growth for all of us and for everyone. Gemar Chatima Tova.